separation from the belief in Yeshu. Like, I was still working that out.
Right.
I kind of kept it hidden from everybody, and until I finally got to a place where I knew what I believed.
And when did you get to that, and how did you get there?
Well, when I got mad over Purim, I decided that I was done holding back. Like, it wasn't doing any good to just keep my feelings and thoughts inside. So I always wanted to know, why was the New Testament written in Greek? I started there. And then my husband said, hey, as long as you're studying, why don't you research the Essenes? And it was like, I call it the internet rabbit hole. It was one link after the other, one source after the other, the Jewish encyclopedia, things in the Torah that didn't line up. It was just all of it till I was like, he's not Mashiach. Wait, who is this Paul guy? What's going on here? Like, and that's another thing.
Everybody always brings up Paul. Imagine that.
Yeah, well, I never liked Paul.
Yeah.
And
that seems to be a pretty common theme within, Ger Noahidism, that there's just something about Paul that just never set right with anybody.
Really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know
That's
that.
What I mean, just from the, I can only speak about the people that I've spoke to, but it was definitely, everybody's got a Paul story.
Uh-huh. And so after the end of my research, I was like, I think Paul is Josephus Flavius. And and I almost threw up, because I had believed in Yeshu. And I was like, am I really going to do this? Am I going to betray him? Because, Peter, you're going to betray me 3 times. And there's this guilt that, don't you dare renounce him. Don't you dare betray him. Like, don't be a Judas, right?
You want to go to hell. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't so much for me, hell. It was betrayal, because loyalty is huge for me. And I said, I literally had to cry my way through that, break through that wall and say, I serve God. This can't be the wall that stops me. And I just bursted through it, and that was it. So
it sounds like, along the way, I know, like you said, the 2 congregations, studying Torah with the, Messianics, but it sounds like in the end there, to let go of, Jesus was a journey you went on by yourself.
Absolutely.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I was alone. It would be late night in my office. I'd be reading, crying, reading, laughing. I mean, you would think I was like a crazy person if you walked in.
A bag of emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but
well,
when
I think that's,
yeah.
I was going to say, I think when you build your framework, your psyche, your whole psychological framework is built around this persona of Jesus. And, for other people, it might be something else, but, Jesus. And when you remove that piece from that framework, when it can be overbearing, it can be too much, for your psyche to overcome. And that's why it seems the people that everybody I've talked to, it was a long drawn out process. Nobody's just pulled that piece out and just went forward. I've only known one person to do that, and they're a different breed, but for me and some other people I've talked to, it's a long drawn out process, because, you start to remove that persona out of your framework, but then you always have to kind of stick it back in there, because, like you said, it was betrayal. Other people, it might've been hell. Other people might be, that was their only link to God. Mm-hmm. So they felt without it, they didn't have one, because they weren't Jewish or they weren't this. So their only pathway was through him. So it is a very difficult, and to do it by yourself, you're one of the first person that I've ever talked to that's just done the research and came to this conclusion by yourself. I'm sure there's other people that have, but I have not talked to anybody besides you that's gone through this and came to this realization by yourself.
Yeah. Um, it was really hard. But I didn't feel alone. I felt like I was going home.